What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So I want to give you guys a quick rundown before we even get into this video. I am a terrible YouTuber, first of all. We all know that. But I've basically just been recording stuff and stockpiling footage over the past however many months it's been since I've been working on the blue truck, probably 4 months or so. So I'm just gonna break it all down really quickly, and it's gonna be all the way through working on it, which there's some footage, but I was terrible at picking up the camera, all the way to dynoing it, and then we went to the Ultimate Callout Challenge and ODR, which is Outlaw Diesel Revenge, hosted by us, Firepunk, and we did some ET bracket racing with the truck. That was my biggest goal, was to just get it there and try and do some racing, and spoiler alert, I guess we did get there, we did race, so stay tuned if you would like to see that. Looks like there's tractors going by behind me. But I had a hell of a weekend, to say the least. I could not thank the guys enough for helping me, but we'll get into that. You'll see who all helps, who all does what, I guess. And I had a blast. We all had a blast, but we'll get into it. Alright guys, so we've got the 2 mechanical trucks in the shop this weekend. We've been hacking away. This is Sunday evening. I'm just going to give a quick recap. This is Dennis's truck. He's been working away on this thing. We're both trying to get ready for UCC. We just want to go do some racing with the ODSS group, and I don't know, I'm going to try and run 770. We'll see what it makes for power, but if it doesn't make it enough for power, then we'll just run ET and have some fun. But so now that we are on the topic of UCC and what we're doing, I'm also check out the welds. Man, do they look good. Just got 2 more to do. But anyway, this is what our to-do list looks like. We have obviously polish and mount the other 2 welds. Alright guys, it is the following night where I left off yesterday, basically whenever I was working on wiring. Tonight's goal was get our traction bars mounted, which that has been done. Nick got them powder coated, and we got them mounted and installed. Hope it'll adjust any. You get the idea. Worked out pretty well. We'll put the Firepunk tags on them tomorrow, and then weld some mounts for shocks on the back, and then I can paint the rear axle where I welded. But after traction bars, I moved on to getting the intercooler mounted, which was I've been trying to get that done for a little while, but finally found some grommets that will work. They are 3rd gen radiator mount grommets that go right on the bottom of here and work pretty well. And then up here, what I did was I found this all nice looking like aluminum spacer, or I don't know what kind of a spacer it is, but it works very nice. It's hard to see, it kind of looks black there, but it's nice and shiny. But basically all I did was get one of those spacers, got the 2nd gen little rubber mounts for the intercooler, and then I believe an M12 bolt that was about 4.5 inches long, and you can tell maybe it's 5 inches long. I need to cut some off of it, and I just welded a nut on the back side. So we have the intercooler mounts all wrapped up. It's not held in with a ratchet strap anymore. Did the same thing to this side, had to take the battery out to be able to weld it. We'll throw that back in there. Technically my wiring is not 100% done. I need to hook up my key on powers. I worked on some stuff this morning and got some things knocked out, but I have some small remaining stuff to do that I need to get myself to finish tonight. That's basically where I got to this evening. Definitely knocking some stuff off the list. Alright, so I'm just going to summarize how our dyno evening went. First, we backed it on, knowing very good and well my data logger is not set up yet. I have to plumb some stuff, and all the sensors have to be scaled, obviously, and I'm not capable of that, so I will leave that to the professionals, and that would be my boss. So once I get everything hooked up, I will have Levon do his thing, and we'll get it ready to roll. But I backed onto the dyno knowing I did not have any of that hooked up, so we were going off of very little data. Basically what the dyno said, how I feel the truck was, a total boost number, and case pressure of the pump. So I guess I do have fuel inlet pressure too as well. I wasn't really paying attention much to that. But we backed it on the dyno. Right off the bat, I have not driven it on the street yet. Right off the bat, spool's really good. So I know that everybody's going to be asking that because the setup is wild, but it does extremely well. And the kit is not finished technically, so we'll get there as well. There's lots of information, so I really hope this video isn't just dragging along, but it's very interesting stuff to you guys that are interested. So backed it on the dyno. First rip, it did like 460, 461, something like that. I was like, okay, that's great. Pretty happy with it. And then checked a couple things. Noticed case pressure is pretty low. It's around 54 psi, which just a normal case pressure. Case pressure does not affect much. It's just like fuel inlet pressure. You want to have the pressure there. You want to have it at the right spot so the truck will perform how it should. So I noticed that it was pretty low. I went ahead and went from that, and I bumped it up to 84 psi at idle, and went for another rip. And next rip it did 520. So we jumped 460-ish horsepower. It's about a 15% gain just from that adjustment, just to having it was a little low, and just getting it to the proper pressure is basically what did that change. It's nothing huge. It's just basically how the pump is set. So I was pretty tickled pink with that. I thought, well, let's bump the timing just a little bit. So I gave it about roughly 2 degrees of timing, and next rip it did basically the same number. It did like 520 or 519, but past 2600 RPM the graph just went straight down. Like it tanked. It did not have any power up top. I was like, huh, adding timing should not do that. That should, if anything, it should make it bad down low, but it should have power up top. So haven't quite figured that out. That was very odd to me. So I pulled timing back to where it was, because I was still unsure if that's what changed it. And right then again it did like 520 on the dot. So I'm like, okay, that's what it was, and it held power all the way out to like 3400, 3500, and it's like, okay, that makes sense. So let's continue to pull timing back. So I pulled it back until it did not gain anymore, until it lost power. So I pulled it back the first time, and it moved 13 horsepower, so it jumped up to 533. I pulled it back again, and it lost horsepower and went down to 519. So I moved it back up, did 530, 531. After that, I moved it back. So, and that was after it had some heat in it. So it was about directly in the same spot. I marked it all. It looks to be in the same spot. So I saw that number. I said, pull it off. Let's go racing. It was like 2 or 3 in the morning. I had to be in Indianapolis for UCC not very much longer after that. Driver's meeting was like 9 a.m. the next morning, so we had to load up and get out there. Obviously, I am very positive there's more left in the truck. It just needs dialed in. I need to be able to see all the data that I need. Obviously, with the mechanical truck, you can't just see it all with the data log through the OBD2. So we'll take a look at that once we get the data logger hooked up and make some adjustments from there. But we went ahead and loaded it up, and this is where I will plug some guys. I thank very, very much the guys that helped me. I would not have made it without the team around me, or all my coworkers, friends. They're all the same people, very good friends. That helped me. They got my compound kit together. All the guys in the fab shop did awesome. And then Dennis and Zach stayed up with me really late the night before UCC to get it all ready, and we pulled an all-nighter. We did not sleep. We loaded the truck up at like 3 a.m. and headed out, and Zach hauled it out willingly. I he's the man. I very much appreciate it. We always do fun stuff, so I'm also not surprised because he is always down for it. But yeah, all the guys were huge help, and they know exactly who they are. I don't know. I was just over the top excited. I'm very impressed that the people I'm surrounded with are willing to help me that much. I guess it was a lot of fun and just awesome. But there's that. So we get to Indy, and I don't really expect much out of the truck. I don't know what it's going to do. I put some double adjustable shocks on the rear with our shock mounts and tried to make that look okay, and figured that would give me a better 60 foot. Our big compounds were on. Everything looked great. The only thing that did not go as I wanted was my TPS was not mounted for my anteater, which doesn't matter anyway for racing, but between non-air-cooled and air-cooled pumps, spring heights are different where that lever's at, so we'll get to that whenever we fix it, just for you guys that are going to need TPS if you run an anteater. Anyways, we got out there, and I just had a flatline tune in the anteater, so it sees 100% throttle all the time, so that's what it's a race tune, essentially. The first pass out, it went in 8:59. Let's see here, we got the time slips here. It went in 8:59 at 80.8 miles an hour. That was with it. I was in overdrive by half track, essentially. It was subpar. It fell under the Charger, obviously. The shift points just weren't right. So came back to the pits and regrouped, and then we made, let's see, we made this next pass, which I will show you because I don't believe I got the first pass. So here's this next pass. And coming through the 8th mile traps, I could still see the scoreboard because we're at Indy. It's a quarter-mile track, so time popped up on the scoreboard, and I was pumped. I was fired up. So we cut off 4/10 off that last pass. I was pretty happy. We went 8:19 at 83.9 miles an hour, so almost 84 mile an hour. So 4/10 and 4 mile an hour. That's a really big deal. So I was ecstatic. I mean, I was high on life all weekend, but I was very happy with that. It was still a little iffy. I think the 2-3 shift is what I was concerned about after this pass. The 2-3 shift was, I believe it was late. Yes, I think the 2-3 shift was late on that pass. So I was like, okay. So we only got 2 passes the first day because I had to cut the 3rd because we were running out of time. So on to Saturday. So Saturday, we get there and talk to Evan, see what he thinks. We look at some stuff. We noticed the throttle linkage is not getting full travel. The stuff I had to rig up to make it work with non-intercooled lines, with an intercooled bracket, and all that good stuff, I just wasn't allowing completely full throttle travel, and it's still not perfect. Like to this day, this is Monday. I still have to do more with it, but it was better. So adjusted that. My pump is one of the OG pumps that Evan built. It was probably like the 4th one or so, maybe 5th one. And he has some updates from back then. I mean, it's been a couple years since he built it. He has some updates, some discoveries he's made. So made some in-truck changes to fuel a little bit harder at higher RPM, and which I believe did help the overall just running of the truck. On the street it seems a little bit different, so I can't give you 100%, I don't know, reflection on that really. But left the anteater tune the same. I adjusted my rear brakes and I did a test spool up and it would hold 20 pounds. So I was like, okay, we can leave with something now.
.806 to 83 mile an hour.
Third pass, anteater tuned the same, 20-pound launch. We went an 806 at 83 mile an hour. We cut down our 60 foot from a 188 60 foot to a 175 60 foot. So we cut more than a tenth off of that, which that's amazing. Like on a street tire, that is in a first gen, like all of it combined, that's a great 60 foot. I was glad it was moving out of the hole better, better than that almost 1.9 that it was running. But we went, yeah, I was ecstatic. 806 at 83.4, so we lost a little bit of mile an hour out the back. And I really noticed on that one that the overdrive was too, oh, the 2-3 shift, sorry, the 2-3 shift was too high, and the overdrive shift was too fast. So the 2-3 shift, it was going, and I almost like fell forward in my seat, and then it kicked me back in my seat once it shifted, and it finally went. And I was like, man, there's obviously a little bit of time there. And then it hit overdrive, and it just fell on its face at the end of the track. And which I told everybody else, I really do think that was probably going to be a 799 pass, just because of the fact it laid over at the end, and the truck I was next to ran like a 796 or 794, and I was ahead of him the whole time, right until the end whenever it laid over on its face, and he came flying around me. And I was thinking, man, that could have been it. But I saw 806 pop up on the boards, and I was fist pumping. I was probably the most happy you've ever seen a person run an 8-second quarter mile. But I was ecstatic. I mean, we've cut a whole almost 6/10 off the first pass. I was just pumped. I was like, this is awesome. Like, first outing, third pass so far, and it's doing really well. We're cutting down time. We're learning, most of all. I need to learn more on the light, that's for sure. My lights are, I can't cut a light to save my life, but I got some tips after the weekend, and I think I'm gonna do better next time. But that was the last test and tune run, you could say, which, yeah, I was ecstatic with. It was great. Alright, so we basically got through all of our, that was a qualifying pass, and we jumped right into round 1 of eliminations for ET bracket. And I was somewhat confident. After that pass, I went back to the pits and was kind of saying what was going on, and we're like, man, we really don't know if we need overdrive. I think we should be able to just turn overdrive off and roll with it. So what I did was I changed my 2-3 shift after that last pass, because I really felt that it was too late. So I changed my 2-3 shift from 55 miles an hour to 52 miles an hour, and I just turned overdrive off. So come to find out, that was a bad idea. But we got paired up with a Mercedes the first round. It's an older diesel Mercedes. It's a really cool little unit, actually, but he was dialing like a 12.5 or something like that, and I put my dialing in at 798 because I did not want to break out, but I was very confident that it was gonna run like a 799. So that's what I put my dial in. It was the heat of the day. It just overall wasn't a great pass. My reaction time was terrible because I was watching him drive away and wasn't really looking at the tree, because I was just like, wow, I gotta run him down, and just slept at the light completely. It was like a 0.5 reaction time. I wasn't even really paying attention. Terrible. Still cut the same 60 foot, a 175 60 foot. It was same at the 330. Well, it was down a tenth at the 330. It went a 5.1, went a 5.2 here, and then the 8th mile was 8.3, so we'd went an 8.0 the first pass. So it was the slowest pass since the very first pass. Went 83.8 or 88.38, sorry, and we went 76 miles an hour. So we lost 8 miles an hour out the back and lost 0.2, 0.3. So I was bummed. But the overdrive definitely need it, I think, maybe. It was revving way out. It just didn't have anything up top, so we learned from it. I had an absolute blast. It was some of the most fun I've had in a long time. I've met a lot of new people. Not met a lot of people. A lot of people that I knew, I finally got to put names to faces, and that was really exciting. And it was kind of nice to see all the hard work pay off as far as like getting out on the track and times go, and just all the people that were so impressed and intrigued with the truck. That were always, there was multiple times where the truck was surrounded with 10, 20 people, and that were just really interested in asking me questions, and that was really cool because we thrashed really hard and put a lot of work into it, and it definitely paid off. And I'm glad that me and Evan could come out and represent the first gen community. And speaking of Evan made passes too, and also went some rounds, which he did very well. But I'll throw in his videos as well, because his video is not all about me. I would love to. I mean, Evan's truck is awesome. According to our track times, I had to, according to my dyno number, I had to run an 807 to be able to back up my dyno number, and it went an 806. So, with more, I think more left in it. So, I was very ecstatic with that. And according to weight and track times for Evans, he's only 10 horsepower behind me, and that thing moves out for being. It weighs like 6,300. He scaled it at half a tank, and it was like 6,250. So right about 6,300 with a full tank, which is how he showed up to Indy. And running 840s. He ran an 841 first pass out, which is awesome. So happy for him. He added weight to the truck. He even had a pat cap on there, and he set a new personal best with an 841. So super happy for Evan. One of his biggest fans, just because he supports me so much, and I very much appreciate it. But we did a lot of good work for the VE guys out there this weekend, but also had some other first gen guys out there. Obviously Logan Yelton in his 590 truck that is just beautiful. Carter Doyle was out there in his P-pump farm truck looking 2-wheel drive extending cab dually. First gen, that thing's awesome. He was doing good, having fun. And Austin Fields was out there as well, and that truck is beautiful. But we were all racing, having fun. I saw Goose's truck out there too, actually. So first gens showed up. The VE trucks definitely showed up. We did well for what the trucks are. Had lots of people confused, to say the least. They expected them to be P-pump stuff, and they'd come look at them, and were thoroughly impressed and asked lots of questions. And we were very happy to be able to have some good conversations with some of you guys. So always look forward to seeing and meeting new people. But the next event we will probably be at with the truck is Beach Bend on July 7th is the next ODSS race, and we're gonna race ET bracket again. Would really like to start doing better at the ET stuff, so I'm gonna practice my light a little bit. Maybe this Thursday we might go to Test and Tune, so I'll try and video that. But overall, could not be more happy with the blue truck. If you guys like the compound kit, let me know. If you guys have any questions or want me to do strictly a video of the kit, I will, because I know there's gonna be lots of questions, and also lots of people like, oh, that's not gonna work, and then they see videos of it working, and they're gonna be like, huh, okay. But anyway, that wraps up our UCC weekend, and I couldn't do it without a lot of people. Definitely couldn't do it without the guys at the shop, Firepunk Diesel, and obviously Evan, Ratman Performance, building the spicy pumps. I do have an AirDog 220 on that thing, so couldn't do it without CJ and the guys at AirDog, and most definitely without Kyle at Hot Shot Secret supplying us with some Black Diamond good stuff for the 12 valve. And for this thing having like 5 miles on it, it ran like a champ. Oil pressure stayed great. Everything looks really good. Cut open the filter and looked at everything, and looks very good. So could not be more happy. Truck did great, and yeah, hopefully that wraps it up. Sorry for the long-winded video. A lot has happened since you guys seen me last, so I hope it was worth it. But there's more racing in the future. So we're finally racing. Things are finally interesting. So go ahead and subscribe. You just might as well do it. But peace out. Till next time, we'll see you on the Old School Crew.